don't film stuff from the night before brew day, but this time with my breakfast stout, I'm trying out a new technique for dark grains, and I found the details for it after hearing a lot about it online about steeping dark grains from the October issue of Brew Your Own magazine. So on page 85, Chris Bible, one of the main contributors to Brew Your Own, the advanced brewing section, writes an article, Dark Grains, Options for Using Highly Kiln Malts. And it's a really nice article, but the information that I'm using from it is only a little tidbit that he has on the proportions of water to grain. So he says that he recommends 2 quarts or about 2 liters per pound. So in this case, I have 1 pound and 6 ounces. So I calculated out, and I need 2.75 quarts of water. Alright, so I'm gonna use this clean Pyrex bowl, which I've already screwed down with a little bit of Star Sand. I don't think you really need that, because you usually don't, sanitize anything on the cold side, but I'm just gonna be extra cautious. So I'm gonna spray down my spoon too, and then I'm gonna put in my dark grains. Now, what does the 1 pound 6 ounces consist of? I have 8 ounces of chocolate malt, 8 ounces of black patent malt, and 6 ounces of roasted barley. So I'm just gonna dump it in, like you normally do for a mash. Or if you were putting in cold steeping coffee, you would put in the grains and then fill the water and then stir it. So I'm gonna pour it slowly but surely, stir in the water. Just make sure everything fits in this bowl. Already almost has like a coffee aroma. So you can see it fits in. It's a very loose mash, but the grains overnight are gonna absorb some of that liquid anyway, just like coffee grounds would. Now, how am I gonna seal it up? Just to keep it as sealed as possible, I'm just gonna take some saran wrap, a couple pieces, spray it down a tiny bit, and then put it over the top. Put it over the top. And then, last but not least, I'm going to spray down the lid that came with this Pyrex bowl and put it on top of that, and then just leave it in the fridge overnight. So so from the Crystal 120, no roasted malt, it's actually a pretty nice dark red color, as you can see me pouring it into my Vorloff pan before you mash out, just to set the grain bed a little bit before you add the mash out water. It's a pretty dark ruby red color, just from about 12 ounces of Crystal 120. There are the little Victory malts, which would add a little color, but overall, there's no roasted malts in there, so I'm pretty surprised how dark that color is. So that was the first liter. So I usually only need about a couple of liters. Some people do a couple, like a gallon or so. But Usually I only need 2 of this measuring cup full worth of wort. All right, guys. So we've done the mash out. Most of it was at like about 165 because after I overshot it, I went to get some calcium chloride to accentuate the malt character, and it was at 166. And even after I added the little bit of mash out water I had left in the pot, it was still at 166. So I just left it for an extra few minutes, and anything over 165 is still pretty good. So because it was in the 170s for a good 2-3 minutes, you know, I'm not really, maybe even longer, I'm not so worried. But I just wanted to show you this because the color is so much lighter, even in this second Vorloff, because those first 2 gallons that are down there in the bucket are the first 2 really concentrated gallons. So this is really the color that I kind of thought it would be from the beginning. So, and we basically hit our numbers. Our target pre-boil gravity, according to Beersmith, again without any of the dark malts, was 1059, and we got about 1058, 1059, maybe even 1060. So I'll flip you around, you know, show you it on the refractometer and let you decide, you know, what that original gravity or pre-boil gravity actually is. So as you can see, it's pretty much at the 15 bricks mark. There's about 1060. So when I look at it myself, you know, it's definitely pretty close to the 1060 mark. In Beersmith, I'm going to put 1058 just to be 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I hit my number. You might say, why is he adding the lactose into a separate small pot? Well, as some of you may know, I'm Jewish and keep kosher, so therefore, in order to keep things separate, which we usually keep our meat and dairy pot separate, if I were to add lactose to the main oil kettle, I would make that a dairy vessel, and all my subsequent beers would be considered dairy equipment, or cooked on dairy equipment. So therefore, in order to avoid that, I separated some wort, boiled it up to a boil, and added the lactose to that. Alright guys, so what I did was I cooled the main pot, my main kettle's wort, down to about 60 degrees. Then, as carefully as possible, transferred the smaller pot, which you see there on the floor. I transferred that one's wort, which again, I had to use it for kosher reasons, which I explained earlier, hopefully. And I poured it into there, and as you see, I have, instead of 5.5 gallons, I have about 6 gallons. So what I'm going to have to do is cold crash my starter and then put it in. And even then, I'm probably going to have a crazy blow off. In terms of gravity, I've taken like 3 samples with the refractometer just to make sure I got it right. And the first time I got 1074, 1075, which was very close to my 1078 target, so about 3 off, which is close enough for me because I got extra beer or extra wort. And then I tried it again, but didn't clean off the refractometer, and it told me 10 points higher. So I don't believe 10 points higher. So I'm going to show you, I cleaned it off, took a new sample, and you'll see that it's more like 1074, 1075, instead of 10 points higher, as I said. So as I said, I'm gonna have to cold crash my starter, and then pitch it, in the morning instead of tonight. So as you see, I did not film myself pitching the yeast, but I'll tell you when I pitched it and how long it took to take off and give you all that detail still. I pitched it about 9:20 a.m. today, Monday, and now it is about 5:30, and it took off earlier, but I was waiting to film this clip until the temperature got up and it started to really chug away. And now we're at about 19.9, so just under 68 degrees. And as you see, now it's really starting to chug and go up and go through the blow-off tube. But I still think it has room to really explode. So if before I post this video it really starts going even more nuts, then I'll of course film that. But I just want to tell you that it took really long, about 5 hours or so, to start, and now at the 8-hour mark, just about, it's really starting to really chug, and I think in the next few hours it'll be up to full steam for day 1 of fermentation.